It's been just over 6 years since the democratically elected president of Honduras, Manuel Zelaya, was ousted in a coup. Coming upon that anniversary, the Honduran Supreme Court decided to do away with presidential term limits, enabling the current president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, to run for re-election. It was exactly what the opposition that ousted Mr. Zelaya in 2009 had accused him of trying to do. Meanwhile, presidential candidate here in the United States, Hillary Clinton's role in the coup has recently come to light when she headed the State Department at the time of the coup. Newly revealed email exchanges show that her Assistant Secretary of State Thomas Shannon met with coup leaders a week before Zelaya was ousted. According to The Intercept, Clinton suggested using longtime confidant Lanny Davis as a back channel to Roberto Micheletti, the interim president installed after the coup. During that period, Davis was working as a consultant to a group of Honduran businessmen who had supported the coup. In recent weeks, an estimated 60,000 people turned out on the streets of the capital, Tegucigalpa, to protest President Hernandez's tenure and demand his resignation. The marches have been taking place every Friday for several weeks in a row. My guest is Dana Frank. She's a professor of history at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Her writings on the post-2009 coup of Honduras have appeared in the New York Times, foreignaffairs.com, LA Times, Miami Herald, Political, The Nation, and many other publications. Welcome to Uprising, Dana.
Thanks so much for having me, Sonali.
Now, you recently returned from Honduras. Can you first tell us about the street protests? How big are they? This is 6 years after the coup. What is the sense of what people want on the ground?
It's actually really an amazing moment what's going on in Honduras right now, much to everyone's surprise, because there were, of course, huge protests for 2 years after the coup, but we haven't seen this kind of level of sudden uprising in the streets since then. And it's really a major popular outrage cutting across the political spectrum. It's about a huge scandal in which it has been revealed that of the $300 million were stolen in 2012 and 13 from the National Health Service, which had been in many ways thriving public health service, not available to all, but very upstanding. And it's now been revealed that $300 million were stolen from the National Health Service, and that was been known for a long time now, but that now there are documented evidence of checks confirmed by the prosecutor's office that hundreds of millions of that, or at least tens of millions of that, went to the re-election campaign of current President Juan Orlando Hernandez and other top officials in the government. And the party campaign fund was controlled by the current vice president and other top officials. So it implicates not only President Juan Orlando Hernandez, but the attorney general, who has had the evidence for a year and not prosecuted. It implicates the president of Congress, who was the current president of Congress, who is head of committee with oversight of the funds, and it implicates the vice president. And so it's really a top to bottom corruption scandal, and people are really outraged because it's been documented that as many as 3,000 people have died because of the destruction of the National Health Service, and it's being used as a pretext for privatization. So these protests are led originally by a group calling themselves the Indignados, or the outraged ones, have been growing every week. They're up to 60,000 at least. I haven't seen the numbers yet for this last Friday. I myself saw 2 demonstrations on Friday nights in the capital in Tegucigalpa and 2 other ones, smaller ones, and they're really an incredibly beautiful sight to see. I have to say I was really deeply moved. Things have been so terrible in Honduras for so long, and here we're regular people. It's not even very organized. There's no speeches at the beginning and the end. Somebody says, here's where the march will begin and end this week. But it's regular people, and they carry torches, like the kind for backyard patio parties.
Oh, yeah.
They have torches, and some of them are homemade by working people too. And they carry these torches, and they march at dusk and as it's getting dark. And I have to say, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, to be going over a bridge and see these torches as far as you could see, blocks and blocks along the boulevard in every direction, and people chanting "No to the dictatorship," "Out with Juan Orlando," and demanding an international commission on impunity.